starting to open up down there. Looks like the road just kind of drops off. I don't think it's as precipitous as it looks from here, but you can tell that things have definitely changed down there at the end of the road. We shall see. Morning everybody, Jan Hicks of Jan Hicks Creates here. Welcome to my channel, welcome to my Flosstube, welcome to all those who are new, welcome to all of my friends who've been here, hung with me from the beginning. I appreciate you being here. I'm going to say up front, I am not very perky today. Why, you ask? I left my iPad on the plane last night on the flight from Kona back here to Honolulu. I am so angry with myself. Still, I have no words. I did call the airline. It was Southwest. They say they get a call, probably about a call once a week, of people who have lost their iPads, left them on the planes. You know, people put them in the seat pockets. Mine wasn't in the seat pocket. We were in the front row, the first row, and for those of you that fly often or have sat there, you know the front row is, there's no seat pocket in front of you because there's no seat in front of you. You have the armrest has the tray table in it, and so it's a solid armrest rather than just the bar. So I had my iPad tucked right up against there, and I left it there. Like my whole life is on that iPad. I have my phone, that's what I'm recording on, but I'm just, so yeah, the person I spoke to at Southwest said they get calls once a week for people who've lost their iPads. The stewardesses, flight attendants, showing my age, are used to looking for iPads or used to checking the seat pockets, but because mine was right up against the armrest, I don't know whether it would have been noticed. The flight was going on to Maui after Honolulu, so I can only hope that if they didn't find it, during the cleanup in between, that whoever sat in that seat turned it in, that, it's an honest person. And I think the majority of us are honest, right? So it might have gone to Maui. Hopefully it will make its way back. I put in a lost and found report, a lost item report, and I'll be giving Southwest down at the airport here a call after I'm done recording this to see if they can update me on the status. They're supposed to send emails to update, but Mike is planning on leaving work at noon today to go down to the airport, and if I can find out beforehand what the status is, then I can call him and tell him not to worry. So if it's not there yet. So anyways, yeah, I am not happy, to say the least. I spent the flight over editing photos from the weekend to share both on here and Sunsets in Sangria. I'm going to have a long video on Sunsets in Sangria. I'll be sharing some of the things here with you, but I'm going to have it all over there because we just did so much. So I want to make sure and capture it all. I'm going to share a couple of cross-stitch world notes, and then I'll talk to you a little bit about my weekend. Or should I save that for the end? I really don't have a lot to show you guys today. And like I said, I'm not the happiest person right now. But anyways, a couple of notes. First and foremost, Donna Newman. If you knew her, she was Doodlebug Stitcher on Instagram and pretty much any place she commented outside of Facebook, of course. I think she was Doodlebug Stitcher on YouTube. I actually don't remember. She passed away last week. She has been battling cancer. She's one of the people I was having you pray for. I don't know if it was sudden. Like I said, she had been battling cancer. Her family just moved to a new home in Delaware, and we had been chatting off and on Instagram. She sent me some yarn. I showed you that. I sent her some silk and that little It Was Always You pattern that I did for Mike. I sent those to her as a thank you for the yarn, and she sent me some knitting needles as well. They were, she was kind of weeding out because they were moving like the next day after we had been chatting, like right within last week. And then I think it might have been Thursday, her sister posted on Facebook on her account that she had lost her battle with cancer. And it came out of the blue, but didn't come out of the blue, I mean, I knew she had been battling it, but I thought she maybe, they were moving, that she was in remission, or that at least she was stabilized a bit. So yeah, if you knew her, send up some prayers and some good thoughts for her family, because it's certainly a rough time they are going through. The other thing I wanted to share with you, I'd mentioned last week about the Zinio having the special on Cross Stitch Crazy, 5 issues for $5. In response to that, one of my subscribers, Anna Jane, reached out to me and let me know about this service called Readly, Readly, where you pay $10 a month and you basically have access to all the magazines out there. I don't know how they do it. The first 2 months, they have a special going on now. The first 2 months are 99 cents, and then it bumps up to $10. So basically, like, for instance, on Morning Joe the other morning, they were talking to some gentlemen, and one of them had an article in Newsweek. And I thought, oh, that sounds like an interesting article, but I don't get Newsweek. I could just pull up the most recent Newsweek issue and just read that article. Every magazine you can think of. So they have the Gold Collection Cross Stitch magazine, they have Just Cross Stitch, they have Cross Stitch Crazy, they have the Cross Stitcher, they have World of Cross Stitching, and they have from 2014 and 2015 the Sampler and Antique Needlework issues. So that's like 3 or 4 issues from each year. I don't know whether they have every issue from those 2 years, but most of the issues from 2014 and 15 of Sampler and Antique Needlework. So that's pretty cool. I will put that link below. Now, let me say right here, I haven't the faintest idea what this video is going to look like. If I call Southwest and they say that they have my iPad down there, then I'm going to wait and do my usual editing on the iPad like I always do. If not, I am not sure. I could transfer everything over to my desktop. I'm looking this way because my desktop is right here. And edit it on the desktop, but then I would have to transfer it back to the phone for upload because my desktop is so old and slow. Plus, we're further away from the Wi-Fi, which is downstairs, so it takes forever to upload anything from here. So I'd have to transfer it back to the phone. I may just try and edit on the phone. I've never done that before. I don't know if I can reach my music via the phone. So yeah, I don't know what you're gonna see or when you're going to see it. So, all right, the weekend. And if there's those of you that aren't interested, you can just skip forward. Actually, maybe I'll just show you my stuff. Like I said, there's not that much. And then I'll talk about the weekend because there's a lot to talk about. So, over the weekend, I didn't get much stitching done. We were running around, outside pretty much all day. By the time I got back, like 7 or 8 o'clock, to where we were staying, my eyes were stinging. I was just like, me, just so tired. So I might have put 2 or 3 threads in the whole weekend on my sheep. So I did take, this is the only project, I did take the Jeanette Douglas Aloha Hawaii project, the one with the volcano. I only took the fabric though, I didn't take it to work on. The idea was to take a picture of Anne and me at the volcano stitching. That didn't happen, more on that later. So anyways, I started the sheep here on Thursday. And so I got a good chunk of the middle sheep done. That's that guy right there in the middle. But like I said, before we left, I got a good chunk done. But afterwards, yeah, a thread here and a thread there. And then last night I picked this up too to work on it. And I was just so upset. I just couldn't. I just couldn't. But anyways, this is what it's looking like on the pink fabric. Not like much. And of course the orange doesn't go great with the pink, but once it gets surrounded by all of his friends, he'll be okay. So, there is that. And then the only other thing I have to show you, at least stitching, actual stitching wise, is my fractal. I did get another diagonal done on this beauty. And I am just about the point. I would pull up my iPad and show you the picture if I had my iPad. So you will have to either remember what it looks like or go back to last week's video. So I'm just at the point when I come down in this next diagonal, I'll be starting to work on the center swirl in here of the fractal. And again, I would like to pick this up and work on it. Now I could work from the Dropbox copy, and I do have Knit Companion on my iPhone. I don't know. We'll see how I feel. I will be continuing to work on this. I didn't work anymore in the chatelaine from what you saw last week, I guess. I haven't worked on it again. I think I'm going to wait. I did decide I'm going to get a Lowry stand, so I probably won't work on my chatelaine again until I get that, and I'm probably not going to get that until September. We've spent enough money here in August with the trip and everything, so I'm not going to spend that chunk of money until September. So yeah, that's all the stitching I have to show you. I do have a little bit of haul. I got the box of anchor threads. This is the black that I mentioned last week, or maybe I mentioned it, I don't know when I mentioned it. This is from Amazon. They had a box of black anchor thread, 12 skeins for $10.50. So I went ahead and got that. This is for Farewell to Anger. I'll link that below in case you're interested in buying yourself a box of black thread. Somebody had asked me if I'm particularly fond of anchor over DMC. It's not that. It's just that the black, for some reason, the black anchor, whatever base they use, fills in better than the black DMC. So a lot of people substitute anchor black for DMC black when they're stitching. I also took a stroll through Teresa Shakespeare Peddler store, online store. I was looking through her, the stash cash for cats and dogs, the charity charts that she has, plus the other stuff she had on sale. And lo and behold, she had several of the Prairie Schooler alphabet ones that I'm collecting. And I think these were either some of them were $7, some of them were $8. which is, you know, quite good considering that I think they retail usually for 12. 2 of them are reprints and 2 of them are the original cardstock. So I think previously I had A, B, C, D, E, F, and X, Y, and Z that I got 2 of those from Keepsakes at StitchCon, and I had gotten one previously. So now I have G, H, I, M, N, O, so cute, PQR, the quilt is so pretty, and VWX. And there's our embroideress. X is for cross stitch. Love it. So, yeah, I just have a few in the middle now that I need, and I'll have the complete set of those. Those will be done over 1 on 28 count. I don't know when I'll do it, but that's irrelevant, right? Yeah, so that's really, I didn't get any more punch needle done, so that's really all I have to share with you as far as cross stitch is concerned. 15 minutes. That's like crazy, right? I need a drink. So, the weekend. Guys, what an amazing, crazy weekend it was. So we got there Friday. We went over Friday morning. Our flight was like 8 o'clock in the morning. Southwest, $39 to hop between islands. $39 or $59, depending on time of day and all that, and day of week, to hop between islands. Half-hour flight between here and the Big Island. Amazing. I mean, I think loading probably took longer than the flight over, right? So we got there Friday morning. Ann and Mel, our friends that flew in from Maryland, picked us up. They had just gotten there the evening before. We tootled around Kailua Kona, which is the kind of the main tourist town not far down the road from the airport. Tootled around there for the day, had lunch. Ann and Mel went back to their condo after lunch to sleep because jet lag, right? Boy, light really just changed, and of course I do have my desktop on, so you're getting some side lighting on me today. While they were sleeping, I got my henna tattoo. Any place that I see that they do henna tattoos, I get them. I would love to get this done as a permanent tattoo. I love this design. It turned out so well. But I am a bit chicken. I have heard that, I don't have any tattoos, but I heard that tattooing on the hand is particularly painful. So I don't know whether, you know, maybe I could do like a little section at a time. But anyways, I love my henna tattoo. It will last. It's basically just a stain. Henna is a stain. And of course, Indian brides get their hands hennaed, hands and feet hennaed before their weddings. And it's just kind of a thing that's done over here, just kind of in the more, I guess, boho, touristy, hippie type of areas. I'm a little bit hippie at heart, definitely. So it is a stain, and depending on how much you scrub, how much you like use harsh things on your hands, how much you moisturize and protect it is a factor in how long it lasts on you. So it'll be 1 to 3 weeks before it fades. And I am seriously thinking about going to one of the tattoo shops and saying, can you just tattoo over it so you have this pattern? I don't know. I'm a chicken. Okay, so then after that, met Ann and Mel for dinner, took in a sunset, and then we all crashed for the evening. The next day we started to drive up the East Coast. So the plan was to drive up the East Coast, stopping at various sites along the way on our way up to Volcano Village, which is where we had gotten an Airbnb right down from the Volcanoes National Park. So we were going to try and see the Captain Cook Memorial, where Captain Cook first landed on the islands, but unfortunately it was a bit of a hike down and we weren't prepared for a hike, basically. We stopped at South Point, which is South Point Park, basically, which is the southernmost point of the U.S. Key West is known as the southernmost point in the continental U.S., but South Point on the Big Island of Hawaii is the southernmost point in all of the U.S. So again, pictures, I'll show you gorgeous views, waves crashing, you know, all the things. Some historical markers there as well. The vibe on the Big Island is totally different than the vibe here. I don't think I was really expecting that. I don't know that I actually have really thought about it. This is so much more commercialized. Of course, everything is so much closer together. The Oahu is about 55 miles from the longest point across, to give you a frame of reference. The Big Island, you land over here at the airport. Kailua Kona here, and we were driving up the East Coast. Hilo is up here, and then it kind of goes up and around. From Kailua Kona to Volcano Village, which was just here to here, was 90 miles. So that gives you an idea of just how much bigger the Big Island is than here. And there are so many tourist things concentrated here, and of course the capital, and it's just much more commercialized than the Big Island. In the Big Island there is so many wide open spaces, just totally different vibe. And you don't feel, except for like in Kailua Kona, which is very much a tourist town, you don't feel like you're surrounded by tourists all the time, which you definitely do here. So yeah, we stopped. The first stop we made was at Saint Benedict's Catholic Church, which is known as the Painted Church, and hopefully there will be some pictures of that at the beginning. It is just a white church on the outside, but when you go in, the nave, the walls, everything is painted with either kind of island decor or pictures of Jesus in various settings. It's just gorgeous. So we stopped there, took some pictures there. We were followed in by a tour bus, so we didn't stay long. But yeah, it was a really pretty setting. From there, we went on to the South Point. Did some walks along the cliff there, took a lot of pictures of waves. Mike got some great pictures of waves with his new big camera, so hopefully I will have included some of that. And then the Black Sand Beach was next. And so we got out, and the wind, let me tell you guys, the wind was whipping really hard. I did get some video of waves. I am going to try to include the audio on those videos, but the waves, or the wind was whipping so hard that it beats against the microphone in the camera, and that's pretty much all you can hear, and sometimes it's quite annoying. So I don't know how much of the wave action you'll be able to hear. But next was Black Sand Beach. I was going to look it up. Pu'unaloa, I think. Beach. It is known, of course, for the black sand, also for sea turtles. So we got out and walked down on the rocks closer to the waves first to get some shots there, and then we were on our way back over to actually go to the Black Sand Beach when my friend Ann slipped. There was a area that was a rather steep downhill and sandy and gravelly, and she slipped on that, and her leg went one way and her foot went the other, and she went down, and not only 3 broken places in her ankle and lower leg, but her ankle bones actually disjointed. It was bad. I went over and got the lifeguards, and they came over and were able to put ice on it and at least stabilize her a little bit. And of course then 911 came. Luckily, like I said, very rural compared to here. And you know, you don't, when you're driving along the coast here, you're going through little town, well, not even little town, Kailua and Kaneohe over on the eastern shore here. They're fairly good sized towns, and of course they're also supporting a military base over there. On the Big Island, you don't have that. You have very sporadic villages, just residential areas with really not much support in the way of services. Luckily, where the Black Sand Beach is, there was a hospital just 10 minutes up the road in Pahala. So an ambulance came and we got in to Pahala, and they got her stabilized, got some pain medicine, got her wrapped up a little bit. But the break was bad enough that they couldn't do anything there. She had to go to an orthopedic surgeon in Hilo. So they sent an ambulance, and it was about an hour and a half, something like that, probably an hour and a half from Hilo to Pahala. So it was probably 7 o'clock by the time we left Ann and Mel at the hospital, and we went on to the Airbnb, you know, and got everything sorted with us staying there. It was actually in Mel's name, and you know, just a lot of little things. And got over to Hilo. They got her on some good medication, so the pain, because she was in an awful lot of pain. I mean, you can imagine it was bad. The biggest sadness, though, is we were so looking forward to having some time together, and that just didn't happen. So they went over to Hilo. She had surgery the next morning. Mike and I, on Sunday morning, so all that happened on Saturday. Sunday morning, we went to Volcano's National Park. So we went first to the visitor center. Anne collects the pins from the national park, so I got her a national park pin. Even though she didn't actually visit it, she did pass through it, and she definitely deserved it, and she was with there in spirit. So I got her a pin, and we also decided at that point that we're going to start, since we're heading towards retirement, heading towards traveling a lot, we're going to try and hit as many national parks as possible. So we got the whole passport system, and we've started to collect the pins and the patches. But it was interesting talking to the clerk there. He was there when the volcano erupted, and he said, you know, they felt the shaking, but they didn't realize at first what was happening. They didn't really realize until, and of course the visitor center was crowded with visitors, until the ranger came in and told them they had to evacuate. And he said, of course, at that point, panic ensued and people just dropped stuff and ran, so it was kind of a mess. You also had people like trying to get down the road to see the eruption. But yeah, so I think he said they were off, although there was some cracking in the visitor center was uphill, I guess, from where the lava flows happened. So there wasn't any damage in their area, but they were closed for like 2 or 3 days up there. So we walked down. There are a few areas in the park that are closed. One of them is the Thurston Lava Tubes. It's, I guess, a pretty popular place. You cannot go in that. The Crater Rim Drive is closed for a portion of it, but you can walk down to the crater, the Kilauea crater, the one that did erupt. So we walked down there, and they do have, and you'll see, I don't know how much I'm going to show on here, but if you go over to Sunsets in Sangre, you will be able to see all of it. So you can walk down to the crater, and they have it roped off where you can walk. You can't get to the edge of the crater. They do have it roped off, but you can still see the steam coming up from the down in the bottom as well as around the edges of the crater. And then there's another crater, an older crater across the street from Kilauea that you can see more closely, and you can see the lava lake on the bottom. We did drive through the lava fields coming up the East Coast on Saturday, so there's some pictures of that. After we left the Crater Rim Drive, we drove down the Chain of Craters Road, which has a lot of stopping points for different lava fields, different lava flows, different overlooks. It goes down to the sea arch down at the ocean. So we drove that whole way down. Didn't stop every place, stopped in various places. Sea arch down at the bottom was spectacular, so you'll see that. We walked down the road. The coast road is closed because the lava flow did come down, and that's where it came down and actually destroyed one of the villages down there. So there is a point when the coast road is closed. We walked down to where it's closed. They do now have it kind of plowed off and have a gravel road in there. So if you're a hiker, there's apparently a park down there somewhere. So if you're a hiker or a biker, you can go down further. But we did walk down to see where the lava flow was. And of course you can see where it came down the hill. It's fascinating, it's amazing, it's awe-inspiring, to see the forces that nature can do. It's just, everything fascinates me. And I say that in the video. I just love getting out there and seeing all this stuff. So yeah, after that, we went back to the Airbnb, and the Airbnb that Mel chose was lovely. The grounds were gorgeous. I do have some pictures of that, flowering, and I took a video. You can't see anything, but I did a video at the open door the first evening where you could hear the frogs chirping. We saw a nene. Well, actually we saw a whole troop of nenes, the Hawaiian state bird, so we have pictures and video of that. That was built by Kilauea. Then Monday morning we went down to Hilo, checked out of the Airbnb, went down to Hilo. Anne was getting out of the hospital at some point yesterday, so we stopped in and gave her a hug and gave her her pins and said goodbye. And then Mike and I continued. There are 3 other national parks on the Big Island. We managed to hit 2 more of them. So you'll see information about those. I'm not going to go into detail here. But to get there, we drove from Hilo around the coast. And every bit of that island is different. Where we were at Volcano National Park, where we were at our Airbnb, was true rainforest. But in the yards, most of the yards up there had hydrangeas and coleus growing, as well as the tropical plants. But the hydrangea heads were like huge, gorgeous. The air was just filled with fragrance. So rainforest up there. Of course, the lava flows where there's nothing living for thousands of years until life starts to build its way up again through those lava fields. Forested mountains, grazing land, down to like high prairie scrub brush that looked like Arizona. And of course, beach, everything, grasslands. Fascinating. We never did get to see the tip of Mauna Kea, the peak of Mauna Kea. The cloud cover was too heavy all the time we were there. So I was kind of sad about that. I would have liked to have seen Mauna Kea in all of its glory. There was not really, in the areas that we were, there was not really any sign of the protests. A lot of people driving around with the Hawaiian flag, I don't know what that was, but somebody just dropped something outside. Driving around with the Hawaiian flag upside down, which is their sign of protest as well. So didn't really get any feel for that. But just it was a very full weekend, very interesting weekend. I feel like, and this is coming from somebody who is a total newbie here who really is trying to understand, but really, you know, I'm outside of the experience. It felt to me like the Big Island and the people of the Big Island are more connected to their roots than here. And I think that's just because this is so much more commercialized, you don't see it as much. Like stopping at the one national park we stopped at was the, I don't know whether it was the birthplace of Kamehameha I or just where he kind of fulfilled the prophecies to becoming the king and was spurred on, inspired to become the king, the ruler of the United Hawaiian Islands. I don't know, I just felt it there more. And it could be just because I visited the sites there and I haven't visited them here yet. So yeah, it was a very interesting, amazing weekend. Just so sad that the accident happened to Anne. I told her, you know, life has a tendency to slap us when we least expect it. Not much we can do about it except get better quickly. She's going to have some healing to do. Right now, they are staying at a hotel in Hilo until she can be released to fly back. So, and that's going to be an awful long flight from here over to Maryland. But anyways, and of course it ended with me leaving my iPad on a plane. This too shall pass. I'm sure I will get it back. Hopefully today. Anyways, guys, that's about it for me today. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I will see you. I have a magazine flip through to do that I was going to do tomorrow. If I have my iPad back, I'll do it. If not, I won't. Hopefully by Friday, I will have my iPad back and I will be back for a Stitch With Me video. Until then, know that I love you. Know that I am encouraging you always to give love, get love. I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.